Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petitions in respect of Alhaji Haruna Yahaya and 2 others against the Director-General Chief Executive, National Institute of Educational Planning and Administration, NIEPA, Professor Olivet Jagusah, for abandoning his duty post and operating from Abuja, and for orchestrated attempts to frustrate and humiliate former principal officers of NIEPA and others gross misconduct. Mr. President, the Senate will recall that on Tuesday, 22nd June 2021, Senator Akinyelure Ondo Central rose on Order 41 to lay a petition referred to his committee from the Office of the President of the Senate and drew the attention of the Senate to a petition from Alhaji Haruna Yahaya and 2 others against the Director-General Chief Executive, Nigerian Institute of Educational Planning and Administration, Professor Olivet Jagusah, for abandoning his duty post and operating from Abuja, for orchestrated attempt to frustrate and humiliate former principal officers of NIEPA and other gross misconduct, and urge the Senate to look into the matter. Mr. President, after receiving submission from both the respondents and the petitioners, the committee came with the following findings and observations, as stated in 5.0, observations and findings. After careful studying the presentation made by Mr. Ibrahim Arichekola on behalf of Alhaji Haruna Yahaya and 2 others, the Director-General and Chief Executive of the Institute, Professor Olivet Jagusah, and 3 others, and 3 other principal officers of the Institute, the committee observes as follows. 1, that the National Institute of Educational Planning and Administration, NIEPA, was put in place in 1992 by the federal government of Nigeria in collaboration with UNESCO, IEP, Paris, with a mandate to develop a critical mass education sector planners, managers, and administrators, which is take-off in the defunct Federal School of Art and Science, Ondo State. 2, that from the inception till date, the Institute had been operating for 31 years without an enabling act of Parliament of National Assembly. 2, that the current substantive Director General and Chief Executive of the Institute, Professor Olivet Jagusah, steps to restructure and fashion out an organogram for the Institute, but after effect of the restructuring led to the abolishment of the offices of some principal officers and supplanting of their juniors over and above their seniors in negation of the rule on seniority in the appointment of a headship of departments, sections, and units in the public service. 4, that the idea of relocating the Institute to Abuja was the initiative of the former DGCE of the Institute, which according to him, that the DG was because of the poor accessibility of the area by both national and international stakeholders, and that has hindered the effective and efficient discharge of the mandate of the Institute. And 5, that because there was no law or act of National Assembly creating the Institute, the effective and efficient activity of the Institute had been impacted negatively and thereby creating rancor within the authorities of the Institute. Committee recommendations. Based on the findings above, Mr. President, the committee hereby recommends as follows. 1, that the Senate do urge the Director-General and Chief Executive of the Institute of the Institute of Educational Planning and Administration, NIEPA, to forthwith cancel the idea of relocating the Institute to any other state or Abuja, but to, as a matter of urgency, now with the Federal Ministry of Education, and prepare an establishment bill for the Institute and submit same to the National Assembly for passage. 2, that the Senate do urge the Director-General and Chief Executive Officer of the Institute for Educational Planning and Administration, NIEPA, to reintroduce those offices he abolished and reinstate the officers who were dismissed or had their appointment terminated due to the fallout of the scrapping of some offices in the Institute, and ensure total adherence to the rule of seniority in appointment into positions in accordance with the Public Service Rule, PSR. And finally, number 3, that the Senate do urge the management and staff of the National Institute for Educational Planning Administration, NIEPA, to work as a team in realizing of its mandate to develop a critical mass of education sector planners, managers, and administrators. I so move, Mr. President.
Lack of organizational coherence and institutional wranglings among the operators of a very important educational institutions which is supposed to guide the training and operation of educational administration and management in this country. These institutions, if properly marshaled, is one that could really guide the administration and management in our educational sector. And it is unfortunate that an institution with this kind of promise is being allowed, to enter into this unnecessary kind of institutional incoherence, interpersonal fight. Therefore, the recommendation that the committees have made is not one, given the nature of the issues that are here, it's not one that the Director-General by himself actually can resolve. So I think the best way to approach this matter, sir, is to direct the Federal Ministry of Education and the Office of Service of the Head of Service of the Federation to come together to appoint a committee to sit down and seek to really rejig the administration and management of that institution. It is not a matter of removing anybody, but it's a matter of allowing the external rules and regulations of the service, the nature in which institutions are organized, the organogram, the structural hierarchy of the institution itself are organized. Therefore, unless we get the authorities, that is the Office of the Head of Service of the Federation and Federal Ministry of Education, to wade into this issue so that they can bring some operational harmony and organizational and hierarchical coherence to the institution itself. It's only after this kind of thing is resolved that can we do it. Given the way in which the personal relations between the Director-General and the operating staff of the institution, the way in which their own personal relations have deteriorated, giving directive to the Director-General alone to bring all of them together is going to be counterproductive, because they are not going to obey him and obey the way in which he's going to really reorganize it. I don't think he's capable of doing it. So the authorities in the Ministry of Education and all the head of service have to come together so that they can sit down and bring harmony and organizational coherence to this institution. This is the best way to go about it, instead of giving directives to the Director General to do what we know he cannot do under the prevailing circumstances.
So are you suggesting that the 3 recommendations should, I think my understanding of this is that the issues, the controversial issues here, may not be easily resolved by the management of this institute. I'm more inclined to believe that the top hierarchy of the Ministry of Education, I don't know, to some extent the SGF's office, I don't know, but definitely head of service should be able to come together and decide both the organogram and this is whether the location remains or not. This is a decision that can be taken at that level. And as for bringing a bill here, I think we may not have to wait for that institute, because apparently it doesn't look very organized to bring. And if you say we have a bill already in the system here, we should try to fast track it. But at the moment, I believe that our committee on tertiary institutions should be able to immediately summon the Ministry of Education, two committees actually, tertiary institutions, and our committee on establishment. I think that's where the head of service is. The two committees should be able to bring these agencies together and then work on this, a solution to this. And whatever it is, I think it can be better resolved by a law. Whatever it is that the government wants. Because unless there is a law backing whatever decision, this thing would continue to be a political football. Because definitely politics is coming into it. The law is the only way to resolve this. So I think the hierarchy of the Ministry of Education and head of service should be able to bring some relief to these issues. Certainly, this is beyond the management of the institute. So I would suggest that we amend the recommendations. If it is your wish, because you have to do so, if you still feel these recommendations stand, then I have to put them to vote.
My suggested amendment. I said amend it, direct the Federal Ministry of Education and the Office of the Head of Service of the Federation to examine all the challenges being faced by the Institute with a view to providing effective leadership and guidance to the institution in order to reposition it for effective performance and operational coherence. That's one. Number two, in effecting one above, there should be an enabling act to guide the operation of the institution. So the two prayers, the prayers that are there, I'm trying to suggest an amendment to them so that we can have these two prayers to supplant the recommendations. Yes. Yeah, then the two committees, actually this one is not TED fund. This one is education planning and administration. It is an institution that is guided from foreign funding by UNESCO, which is trying to work out the way in which the administration of education and planning of our education.
So which of our committees is supposed to handle that? This is an educational institute, and it's supposed to be under the supervision of our... No. We have not reached there yet. This is not compliance committee. This is not compliance committee. So I want us first to drop all these three recommendations as proposed, and then take the two recommendations. No, okay. The two recommendations proposed by the leader. So you are standing down the recommendations, right?
Well, I have stood them down since that is the wish of this. And if these two recommendations go to provide solution, I concur, Mr. President.
You keep on saying if this, we are looking for a solution. These three recommendations you are giving at the moment don't count. So the wish of the Senate is just to ensure that there is that there's resolution of all the issues in the institute. So I think there is no harm in this. And we are asking our committees on tertiary institutions and TED Fund and establishment to swing into action immediately to bring the Federal Ministry of Education and the Office of the Head of Service to start looking into the ways and means of ensuring that this institute starts to work properly. And then, of course, the second leg, the second segment of the resolution recommendation by the leader as amended is to ensure that we have a law. Because anything we do without a law backing it could still be a problem. Somebody could just come and use his whatever it is and maybe scatter whatever arrangement. So I think we are on the right course. All right. So you can second...
Second the motion as